So today we're making a plant-based paneer, and this is a very popular cheese that you'll find in India, and it's an acid-set cheese. So traditionally it's made with cow's milk or buffalo milk, which is heated up, and then an acid is added to coagulate the milk, and then it's pressed into kind of like a fresh cheese. And the very similar texture to that is actually tofu, and tofu was made in kind of a similar way. But what we're going to do is, because tofu is quite bland, we're going to infuse it with some nice savory flavors to give it a bit of a cheesy taste, or a paneer taste. But the first thing that we're going to want to do to flavor our tofu today is we need to press it. So it's super easy to press your tofu, and I'll just go through how to do that now. So I've got here a lint-free cloth. So what I like to do is actually cut it in half, just so it's a little bit easier to press and faster to press as well. You see, I've just divided it down the center, so it's two kind of thin pieces. And then we're going to cover it in our lint-free cloth. And I've got two chopping boards here, or you can use some flat trays. Just pop that on top, and then you want to sit something heavy on the top. So you could use like some cans, or I've got like a big stack of bowls. Just anything heavy basically. So it's going to press out all of that liquid so that we can then infuse it with flavor. So I'm going to set this aside for now for about 15 minutes. But while we're waiting for that to be pressed, we can start creating our marinade for our tofu. So I've just got a jar here, and I'm going to transfer in some of my boiling water, or hot water. And to that we're going to add our flavoring. So I have here some lemon juice for our acid, some salt, and some nutritional yeast for that cheesy flavor, or buttery kind of notes. Kind of has that dairy sort of flavor to it. And I'm just going to set that aside just for all of that flavor to infuse while we wait for our tofu to finish pressing. So we've had our tofu pressing for about 15 minutes. We're going to take off our weight now. Cut this into some cubes. And we can give this a good shake just to distribute that marinade. And I'm going to pop this into the fridge for about half an hour, just to start absorbing all of that marinade. And in the meantime, we can start preparing all of our other ingredients. So now we can make our Indian Bhaji veggie patty, and this is inspired by a very popular Indian snack food by the same name, or Bhaji. And if you've ever been to an Indian restaurant, often in the entrees or starter dishes, you will find onion bhajis or different variations with different vegetables. And essentially it's a chickpea batter with different vegetables or onions with some spices, and then they are fried and they make a lovely crunchy snack. Now for this variation today, we are using onions and cauliflower, and we're going to be adding a few extra things into the batter just to give it a really lovely texture. And in addition to that, we're also adding some vegan paneer, which we prepared earlier. So to get started, we're going to start cutting up our vegetables. And we want to slice up our onions fairly fine, probably like about 1 to 2 millimeters thick. And now for our cauliflower, I like to slice it thinly, again kind of the same, about 2 millimeters thick. And then you can just go back and sort of break up those pieces into smaller pieces, or roughly chop through. Now, if you do want to make this soy-free and not add the paneer that we made earlier, you can just add more vegetables at this stage. So now we have our veggies prepared. I'm going to add my salt to the veggies. And just kind of massage the salt into the vegetables just to start drawing out some moisture. Now for our bhaji batter, as mentioned, the traditional bhaji batter is made with chickpea, and we are using some chickpea today, but we're going to enhance the texture by adding a little bit of the rice flour. I find it gives a really nice crispy texture on the outside, and it's nice and light, still keeping with the theme of being also gluten-free. We also have some desiccated coconut as well. And I'm using some baking powder just to give a little bit of leavening and again some lightness to this patty. We have some spices as well. I'm using some whole cumins and some turmeric. So I'm just going to give this a little bit of a mix. And then we're going to add our water measurement. So once you've got your batter mixed up, we can add to our veggies. Now we have our plant-based or vegan paneer that we prepared earlier with our tofu. Now what I want you guys to do is just drain off any excess marinade that it was in, just drain that off. And then we're going to put these in, but I actually like to crumble them up a little bit just to give it a bit more texture. So I like to kind of crush. So once this is all mixed up, we can cover it with some cling wrap. And we're going to transfer this to the fridge just for about 15 minutes, just for everything to hydrate before we can fry those off as our patties.